he looks at me really, really confused because I just said that men and women are not equal, and he does not understand why I said that, because in his head we just are. And we get into this entire debate about, what is patriarchy? Is it even real? Why do we need feminism? All of that stuff. And then we kissed. Well, no, not quite. That's just the name of the podcast.
Julia and a guy sitting in a tree. KISSING.
Hi, I'm Julia, and you're listening to And Then We Kissed, a podcast on the funny, the confusing, and the unforgettable stories behind my kiss list. I'm here with Flo.
Hello.
Our first guest host on the pod, and you don't know this yet, but he'll join us on a couple times to talk about my dating experiences.
Yeah, I will, and I'm quite pleased that I was invited to this podcast, to be honest.
I'm really happy that you're here. As this is a pod where we talk about everyone that I have kissed, I do need to ask, have we kissed? Are you on the list?
Secrets. Okay, spoilers alert. I am on this list. But I think this is a story for another time.
Yeah, it's definitely a story for another time. So Flo is my best friend. Anyone who's coming from my Instagram will have seen him on there before. He's a recurring character in the life.
We met a couple of years ago and we kind of figured out we're like drinking buddies and especially clubbing buddies.
Meant to be. He's like my sidekick at night. I mean, we started hanging out more and more. And then he turned out to be the perfect guy to call after a date. He has this ability to just make me laugh even when the date was absolutely terrible.
And I'm basically your memory and...
Yeah. No, you really are. I mean, I remember the important guys, right? But my memory is so shit that he really knows more about them than I do. I mean, I literally have to write them down in a list. I do remember their nicknames, but sometimes I just forget a whole ass guy.
And I'm always like, how can you forget a whole guy? Because I kind of can't remember even like their security number, basically, when you just talk about them.
That is really where he comes in, just to like remind me. So he has witnessed a lot of my love life play out in real time, and in the last recent years he really has been one of my best witnesses, I'd say. So yeah, when I started creating this podcast, I knew I needed you on for a couple of episodes. I mean, I'm here to dissect the 100 people that I've kissed.
So speaking of, who are we talking about today?
So there were a lot of people to choose from to be the first story on here, and after much consideration I decided to kick it off with a classic. We're gonna talk about number 83. So this is a story about a type of guy that I didn't think existed. I thought men like that were just a cautionary tale. And it's also a story about how men come and go, but the jokes about them in the group chat, they stay forever. So, quick disclaimer before we start. I'm not here to make anyone the bad guy. This really is just my side of the story and how I remember it. You know, how it felt to me. He might tell it differently, and that's okay. We all make mistakes, and I think people deserve the chance to learn from them instead of being labeled, as a terrible person and then shunned. So this really isn't about right or wrong. It's about my memories and my feelings. Also, details have been changed to protect the privacy of everyone involved, and we are also using a nickname to refer to him.
Yeah, which is quite good because like the nickname is actually one of the better parts of the whole story, and especially one of the more funnier parts, I'd say.
It really is. So number 83 is called Himbro.
You never really explained why. Can you
I think I'll explain later. So before we jump in, Flo, what are you drinking? I mean, okay, so see guys, we felt like if we're going to debrief guys, we kind of feel like we need to have a fun little drink just to make it more fun. Yeah. So what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Malibu mixed with pineapple. So basically that's a pina colada, I think.
No, it's just a Malibu. It's in a can, by the way.
Yeah, it's in a can. I think a Malibu has to be mixed with
No,
pineapple.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I actually just messed up. So the rum is called...
Can we clip this? Can we clip this? What she's saying?
It's on record. It's on record. I said that I'm wrong.
She was wrong.
No, okay. So Malibu is the rum name, and then the pineapple juice is what you mix with it.
Ah, yeah. And then you have like this pina colada thing.
Just open it,
so
please.
I can open it, and it's like
time to open it.
ASMR with the crack of the can.
Ah, right there, guys. That's the shit. Okay, so I'm drinking essentially an orange lemonade. I really have quite difficulties figuring out everything. Just to choose. And so whenever I have to decide something, I really have like decision fatigue. I just thought, you know what, the glass looks nice, it's orange, let's fucking go. Okay, now I'm gonna open it, but it's a glass bottle, so it's not the same. Well, that was disappointing.
That was the weakest ASMR I have ever witnessed.
That was extremely disappointing. If it starts clinkering, I'm so sorry. I've got a glass straw and a glass bottle, but we're trying. Cheers! I'm never getting that again. That tastes terrible.
Since I kind of knew what I was getting, I'm quite happy about my choice here.
I should have gotten alcohol.
You should have gotten alcohol.
How can I sit here with my drinking buddy and not drink alcohol?
I feel I've gotten betrayed, but that's fine.
I think it's finally time to start talking, bro.
It's finally time to address the victim,
The victim? If anyone was a victim, I was. That is a wild statement. You know what happened.
Yeah, but I'm still in like this mindset that every man you date is kind of a victim.
Thank
but
you.
That's just, I have to say this as one of your best friends.
I appreciate that. I feel so seen. I feel so loved. I feel so heard. This is terrible. Never mind. We're just going to get right in. So essentially, to start the story, this was during a period of my life, couple of weeks, months, whatever, where, well, how to put this nicely, I was horny.
Happens to the best of us.
It was a Sunday, and Sundays are the days where I like to go on a date. And I know for a fact that leading up to that Sunday, the entire week, I was swiping on Tinder and I was just looking for a guy that I wanted to meet. I was looking so bad. I was like, I didn't have a regular sex partner in that point of my life. Brutal times.
Oh yeah, okay, now I can remember.
Yeah, so essentially I kept swiping, I kept like matching, and I kept texting, and either the guys that I found interesting or hot, they didn't have time, or they were
I think
really
we were even on
stupid.
FaceTime.
Of course.
And you did,
we were FaceTiming every evening.
yeah, we like FaceTiming, and you like show your screen to me, and I was kind of swiping with you, but you never listened to my decision.
That was with other guys. You were on FaceTime with me when I matched with SideQuest and with Hotshot.
He's already dropping so many names. you see where this is going.
No, but so, okay, it's a Sunday, I am desperate, and I'm bored out of my mind. We match, like, day off. I think we matched maybe at 5 p.m. or so fairly late in the day. I don't know what happened to the other guys. I think either they didn't have time or I didn't like their vibe or whatever, but it was like, you know, one of those like phases where it's just difficult to find a man, which is, I mean, it's always difficult to find a good man, but it's not necessarily always difficult to find a man. And it was difficult for some reason. So I matched with him and I didn't do much of a background check, let's call it. I just essentially, you know, I think 1 or 2 messages in and I just essentially said, you just want to come over. Come over, do your job, go back home.
That's a proper booty call right there.
It really is. You know, it's like the "Are you?" question mark.
Yeah.
Are you up or whatever?
Or just a question mark when it's really late into the evening and you just send a question mark. And then as a reply you get an exclamation mark and then they just come over.
How I Met Your Mother coded. Let me tell you one thing. This man was gorgeous. And I really rarely say that. This man was gorgeous. And I remember that I showed you pictures, Flo.
Yeah, you definitely did.
And you
show me
thought he
pictures.
was gorgeous as well.
Yeah, he was quite attractive.
Yeah.
To be fair. But you can't
Like.
always judge a book by its covers, right?
No, for sure not. He looked like he stepped out of like a Vogue photo shoot or something. He looked really, really gorgeous and his Instagram just showed it more. We quickly established where I lived and that he could come over. Mind you, and you will hear this a lot in this season, it's not the first time and it will definitely not be the last time that I invite a random man over to my house without ever having met him. Is that safe? No. Then that's all I have to say about that.
To be fair, you're not living alone.
Yes, I
So
live
you're
in a
living-
flat share.
Yeah, you're like sharing a flat with
Couple people.
Well, a couple people. So I don't think it's that dangerous, to be honest. But it kind of is. It's always like dangerous as
Like
a woman,
it is,
of course.
but it isn't.
But
But it is.
It is. It isn't. It's like one of those gray areas, I think.
Yeah, just don't follow in my footsteps. But if you do, only do it if other people are at home. So I remember one of the things that I asked him before he came over, because we were kind of saying all of this in a flirty way. This is really important. I didn't say, do you want to come over and fuck me? In the context of it all, it was kind of like, do you want to come over, whatever.
It was quite clear what was like about to happen, I guess.
But it wasn't outspoken. And then I text him out of nowhere and I'm like, bring condoms. Because men a lot of the times will not bring condoms, because I feel like so many men are in this ridiculous thought process of like, what will the girl think if I bring condoms? Is it me presuming? Whatever. And in my personal opinion, I cannot talk for other women. I'm not trying to say that men don't have this issue. I understand the social setting behind it. But I will say, for me, myself, and I don't think you presumed that we were gonna have sex. I just think you're prepared just in case we were gonna have sex.
It's like this one single condom you have always in your wallet.
No, I've heard from a guy on a date, I don't know who it was anymore, but I heard from a guy that apparently if you have it in your wallet for too long, that it actually
Yeah, it can
messes
get
with the
like
quality.
yeah, it does kind of make it friction. So, it can kind of break, basically, when you do
Yeah.
that.
And we wouldn't want that.
No, nobody does want to have kids, I guess.
I actually had one guy that, and this was one of the hottest things I've ever experienced, I'm not gonna lie, and I've experienced quite a lot of hot things. He unpacked a little box where like 4 condoms perfectly fit in. Just like a condom box.
Oh yeah, I heard of these things, but it's not only for condoms, but it's also like credit cards and everything. But I mean, I guess you can use it for condoms.
No, it was the size of a condom. Like it was a square, the box. Like the condom perfectly fit in. It was way too perfect for me to have thought that it would be a box meant for other use, and then the guy just like decided to use it for condoms. No, I'm pretty sure that was a condom protection box.
This guy has been around.
Sexy.
I can tell you that much.
We love a guy that's been around.
You do love a guy that has been around.
Anyway, when I said like, will you bring condoms? I know that he was really surprised by that. And that should have been my first sign. He was quite surprised because apparently he had never met anyone that was as direct as I was. And he appreciated it. But in the entire way that he was saying it, I could tell this is a guy that runs in different social circles than I do. Because in my social circle, it might be kind of like, you might be surprised, but just...
Yeah, that's true. But like, you're like a person that is very, very direct. You just like come out and you're like just saying how it is and you're not...
pussyfooting.
Yeah, you're like not really talking around a lot of stuff. You're just like talking directly of those things.
Yes. Straight
so
to the
everything
point.
Straight to the point, yeah. Being clear, very clear about everything, intentions, etc. Right?
Yeah. A lot of people like to say that Germans are quite direct, but I don't agree with that. I think that the German culture is a lot more direct than other countries, but I don't think that us Germans are that direct. And I think I can tell because I am very direct.
But I mean, it's probably good for a lot of men, say them straight into the face, bring condoms, because like men are like always in this kind of delusion. We never like really get hints, to be honest, because we want to like be respectful, so we kind of overlook a lot of stuff.
Yes,
but it's quite helping.
Also, I do want to say, I wish I didn't have to say bring condoms. I wish it were so normalized that men just kind of take responsibility for things, But whatever, that's a whole different discussion. So this man comes over and he comes into the apartment, and I can tell you for sure this is not one of those moments where I'm like, well, your pictures were a lot better. No, this is like a moment where I'm like, wow, the pictures really hold up to real life. I mean...
That's like the first time ever. Basically on any dating app.
And probably the only time ever.
Like... I guess 99% of the people on dating apps are basically catfishing.
Probably.
Because you always like pick one of your best pictures.
But also I don't even think necessarily catfishing. I think on the one hand you pick a good picture of yourself, but then on the other hand I think that I, as a viewer of pictures, then kind of start, this all happens subconsciously, I start to build up the person in my brain based on the pictures with my imagination. So when I see them, there are just like a couple of fine points that my brain didn't get right, and so there is like a little ooh moment of like, this person looks quite different. Whatever. He comes in, he looks amazing, drop dead gorgeous. I kind of show him around the apartment, we kind of chit chat, and I don't really know how the fuck we even got there context wise. Yes, I'm a feminist, I'm a very outspoken one, but I don't necessarily bring this up on a first date immediately right off the bat, especially if we're just fucking. Well, more at the time, now it's a different thing, but at the time I didn't necessarily care who this person was, just if we had chemistry and if, the sex was going to be good. Like, if that's all they're here for, that's what I cared for. I don't know how the fuck we got there, but I mentioned the patriarchy, and he looked at me really, really confused, and he was like, what's the patriarchy? And I was like, what do you mean, what is the patriarchy? And he just didn't know. I googled a definition to read out loud to him, because I know that I'm not necessarily going to get all of the points. I can't necessarily explain something concisely, as you might hear. And I read the definition to him out loud. And I mean, at its core, the definition just said, men and women aren't equal. And he looked even more confused. I thought there would be like a light bulb moment, because also he didn't necessarily speak German that well. And so I thought maybe it was like a language thing, or maybe he just had never heard of the word. And then there's like a light bulb moment, and he's like, oh, because men and women aren't equal, whatever. But it just made him more confused, and he looked at me like, but men and women are equal. And I have never met anyone. What I have met are men, sometimes women as well, but mostly men, that will aggressively argue against it, where it almost seems like they know that men and women aren't equal, but they don't want to know the truth. But that wasn't the case with Himbro. Himbro really just seemed confused.
Let this man be confused, I guess.
I don't know if we need more confused men in the world, but anyway, we got into this entire debate, and then I think at one point I just kind of cut it off. Maybe he cut it off. Who knows? And I remember that we went into my bedroom.
The timeline is so interesting. You just like, you make a little room tour and then you talk about the patriarchy. He says like, okay, I don't get it. And you're like, okay, let's go to my room then.
I don't know how it happened. I think honestly looking back, I should have just ended everything in that moment where he said men and women are equal. But in my head, I was like, well, you're here for one thing. Let's get to it. I was not getting stopped by anything.
It's Sunday. You're horny.
Things have
Let's
to happen.
get this over with.
Let's get this over with. Let's fucking go. I mean, he was gorgeous. And I mean, he was kind of flirty, which was nice. It helps with the chemistry. We go into my bedroom. And I think it's really important to note that obviously at that point in time, there had been no like getting closer emotionally or physically. There had not been that much flirting. And there for sure hasn't been like anything of trying to close the gap and trying to like slowly create intimacy between us. Nothing. And then out of nowhere, you know, and then we kissed. He just kisses me out of nowhere, and it was fine, it was good, whatever. And then we were making out maybe for 2 minutes, and I was still getting into it because I was not mentally quite there yet, because I
mean, it's quite hard to instantly be there mentally.
Yeah.
Without any physical contact earlier, not even really,
and not even like
a lot of
build-up.
understanding, build up or whatever, like
nothing.
And he just gets straight into it. I think.
But okay, you know, whatever. Sometimes you can build up with making out. So okay, let's make out. 2 minutes in, I think he essentially asked if we would have sex now. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And so I was like, no. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'm not ready? ? And he's like, oh, okay, that's weird. But maybe, you know, can we at least naked cuddle then? I think also, mind you, during the makeup, we might have already started taking off clothing. So it wasn't just like we were fully clothed. And then he said, but still.
So you were just like, oh my God, this must be the most awkward makeout session, I feel like, ever.
The beginning was fine until he said, like, let's have sex now. Then it was weird. And then he said, okay, can we at least naked cuddle? And I mean, I don't really mind being naked. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we took off our clothes and then we kind of just like lay there. It was so terrible. That was the second point where I should have thrown him out, but I didn't. We just kind of lay there, complete quiet. 2 minutes passed again, and he's like, okay, do we have sex now? And I was like, what is happening?
Like, okay, wait. Were you like cuddling, or were you like just laying next to each other naked in the bed?
We were weirdly cuddling. Like, my head was on his chest type shit, you know? Like, really tensely and awkwardly and uncomfortable.
Oh, Jesus. How does he get into the mood? I feel like
I have so many questions.
I have so many questions as well. Why
I
didn't you kick him out?
I don't. Well, that's the next thing. I don't know. So I'm like, no, I'm not ready. And he's like, I'm so confused. Like, what do you need? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do I need? Women need, like, I mean, I hate the word, but like foreplay, you know? Like, I personally don't believe in foreplay. I think that is a part of sex as well. But like, from like speaking to him, I felt like he was stupid. So I wasn't gonna start, like, if he has never heard that women and men are not equal, I wasn't gonna start talking about my definition of sex that can be quite different to like societal views.
The poor man, you don't want to confuse him even more.
I didn't want to do that, exactly. And so I just said, well, you know, women need foreplay. And he was like, none of the women I slept with needed foreplay. We just immediately went into it. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, I have even more questions after the statement.
And I asked his body count, and apparently he had, I don't remember the exact number, but I know that it was like quite a lot more than me. And I know for sure that he has slept with like multiple people. It wasn't just like, you know, 1 or 2 women. No, there was a lot of women. I'm not slut-shaming. I'm just saying there have been so many different kinds of women then that he slept with that I'm wondering why it never came up.
It's quite unlikely that it's like always the same type of person he did date or did sleep with.
I mean,
so there has to be some variance, you know?
I cannot imagine for the life of me. Let's say it was 40. Again, I don't remember the number, but let's just say it was 40 40. I cannot for the life of me think that 40 women were fine with having sex without foreplay. No mental prep, no nothing. Just like undress and get right in there.
Especially because he said he was like very confused that you were so direct in telling him to bring condoms. So I feel this is also like kind of contradicting each other.
So we're having this entire discussion where he's like adamant that every single woman that he has slept with had a fabulous time with him. And no, they never needed foreplay. And I was just like, something is not adding up here.
That's a red flag.
That is a red flag indeed. And I don't necessarily believe in the concept of red flags. I just believe in the concept of we're not necessarily people that vibe with each other. But that was a red flag for sure. I mean, what the fuck? So, okay, that was the third point where I should have kicked him out. Did I?
Of course you didn't.
Of course I did
because
not.
it was Sunday.
Because it was Sunday.
And you were horny.
And I was horny. So he doesn't know what to do. I don't know how the fuck to explain it to him. And also I was not gonna have a man go down on me without knowing how to go down on me. I don't need someone down there who's not enjoying it. So he's at his wit's end. I don't know how the fuck to explain what to do. So we just essentially, I'm like, okay, let's just give it a try then, I guess. And we're trying. And it's really, really fucking awkward because I'm not mentally in it. And he's just kind of looking at me like, are you ready? Are you ready, kids? It's not getting anywhere. We break it off. I'm just laying there thinking, do I have to count him for my body count now? That was terrible. I think that was another 2 minutes, maybe.
Wait, why is this your first thought? Jesus, why is this your first thought? Why isn't your first thought like how to like save this?
I was not trying to save this. I was at a point where I was like, okay, this man needs to leave.
The point of no return.
The vibe was gone. So I'm like, okay, this obviously makes no sense. You know, I actually say it to him. He agrees. He gets stressed. It's like, it's very clear that he has to leave, right? He gets stressed and he starts talking to me about the most random shit ever. And he's taking his time. And I am just so annoyed because in my head, I'm thinking, maybe it's 7 or 8 p.m. at this point, and I was thinking, you know what? If I get back on Tinder, maybe I can find another guy. I was so desperate. Maybe I can find another guy.
This is the most vile stuff I have like ever heard from you. Maybe if I can get back on Tinder, if I just throw myself out there, I can get another guy. And if this guy doesn't work out, I can get another guy.
No, there is a point where I need to sleep. I had to work the next day, but still. I cannot believe that this is the first episode of the podcast. I promise there's more layers to me than just like desperate and horny. So I'm thinking, my God, we have to get this guy out as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. It's not working. He is taking his sweet ass time. Apparently he cannot talk and like do stuff at the same time. And so I'm at a point where I am literally like taking his necklace from him and putting it around his neck and everything while he's talking. I'm just like, And I'm like dressing him so he actually gets out of the flat. This
sounds even worse
than
I have it in memory.
It was so terrible. So we get to the hallway. He puts on his shoes. We kind of look at each other. And I just think to myself, my God, you look so good.
Like, but I mean, what do I even say at this point? It's the first episode on this podcast. There's nothing I can say. There's nothing you can say to save yourself. Like, you just the most awkward makeout session, the most awkward cuddles, the most awkward sex. And then he's in the hallway and you're like, well, maybe.
Maybe he looks good. And for some reason, in that exact moment, there was chemistry. I don't know what happened, but there was chemistry. And I just looked at him and I was like, well, and I want to say, I don't necessarily am the kind that like goes for looks. And that's not to say that I've only fucked ugly men. But...
She's saving herself right now.
I'm just trying to say, like, it's not necessarily the deciding factor. Like, if they're like only medium ugly, but they have a really nice personality.
You have to kind of find the other person attractive that you like going to sleep with him, her, whatever.
Exactly.
You know?
It's not necessarily like the deciding factor, but in this case it apparently really was. Because so he wants to put on his jacket to leave and then I just pull him in to make out and then we're making out and it's really hot. All of a sudden the makeout was really hot, and I'm like, oh my god, this actually could get somewhere. Like, maybe we just had a rough start. Maybe it's just two people who had difficulties communicating. Obviously we will never meet again, but maybe, just maybe, it can be fixed for tonight. Maybe both of us can get what we came for.
All the stars aligning.
All the stars were aligning. The makeup was hot, and he was like, while we were making out in the hallway, he was kicking off his shoes, and then he started like pushing me back down the hallway into my room. It was so hot. And then, well, what can I say? The sex was absolutely terrible. It was fairly short. It was pretty uneventful. Let's say not creative at all, and possibly quite egoistic on his part. And I mean, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah,
Who would have thought?
Nobody could have foreseen this. No.
It was
my
one
God,
of those
I'm so stunned and
moments
surprised.
where you just lay there desperate, horny, and then ashamed of yourself, ashamed for him, ashamed for the world that created.
You're getting so philosophical.
Please remember the disclaimer that I said in the beginning where I was like, we're not trying to make out anyone as the bad guy. And then I'm like, ashamed for the world that created him.
Shame.
Shame on you.
Isn't there like the saying, trick me once,
Oh.
shame on you?
No, hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice.
I only know it with like, trick me once, shame on you, trick me twice, shame on me.
I think that the shame on me is on the third time.
On the second time.
No, isn't it like I don't know how the saying would go, but isn't it kind of like okay, you make one mistake, whatever, but if you do it again, that's on you. But if it happens a third time, that's on me. I'm pretty sure that it's like 1, 2, 3.
Okay, maybe we like talking about different sayings.
Well, it wasn't even that late because, again, 5 minutes before I was trying to kick him out of the house, and then 5 minutes later I just had possibly the worst sex of my life. I can tell you it wasn't the worst. Stay tuned for future episodes. But yeah, he was getting dressed the way that some egoistic men like to do when they just had their fun, just let you lay there in all of your naked glory. And they're like, well, it's time for me to go. Oh my God, look at the time. Yawn,
it's so late. And you're just like looking at the clock and it's literally like just 5 minutes past.
30 seconds have passed or something. Yeah, wow, I had the best time.
But now I really have to go.
Anyway, he like makes his way to the door. I throw on a t-shirt. I say goodbye to him, whatever. And then I think both of us immediately unfollowed each other on Instagram. It was really bad. And I remember I texted in the group chat that, is anyone still awake?
Even though it was like 9 p.m. or something.
So the group chat consists of Flo, Sophie, and me. Sophie is my roommate. You're gonna get to know her in the next episode. And Sophie really likes to go to bed quite early. And so I texted in the group chat and I was like, is anyone awake? And then I think you called me. Sophie wasn't awake and you called me.
Yeah, because it was so terrible. I just had to make sure you were actually like fine because it sounded so bad.
And I think the way I phrased it, like, is anyone still awake? Just was really concerning. And so Flo FaceTimed me. I remember telling you the entire story and you were just like, what?
I'm like, what? And now hearing all of this again is like, what? Why haven't you kicked him out, girl? Like,
yeah, why didn't I kick him out? It was so many questions go through my head and then I decided to not think about it, honestly. We live and we learn, I guess.
We live and we learn.
Yeah, and I think, interestingly enough, we live in a not too big of a town. 500,000 people live in our town, which I don't necessarily consider a big city. And because I've basically lived here most of my life, I know a lot of people and still I never really see anyone when I'm out and about. But ever since that date with Himbro, I see him everywhere. One time we went out.
I can remember this.
Yeah, remember when we went out clubbing?
Yeah, we went like home early in a way. Like,
yeah, we went to the bus stop waiting for the bus to get us home.
Yeah.
And he was there.
And she got like quite pale on her face, pointing with a finger onto him, and she's like, "That's him." I'm
That's
like,
him, bro.
"Who?" And he's like, "That's him, bro."
And then
like,
Flo was like, oh my God, he really is good looking.
And I mean, I was like stunning, and I was like, "Damn, was he really that bad? Was he really that bad? I mean, maybe I should have a try."
He really was that bad. And I know that I've seen him like a couple of times more. I've seen him on lunch break at work when I was like going for a walk. I've seen him walking around the city. I really don't ever see anyone except for him, bro.
But that's just like people you always meeting for like no reason.
It's really weird. And out of all of the guys that I have to see over and over again, for it to be him, bro, just feels like the biggest joke being played on me by the world. But I digress. In case you haven't guessed it yet, why I called him Himbro, he is gorgeous looking and he's extremely stupid.
Yeah, I think people would have already figured out that he was quite confused for like the majority of the time, basically, being with you.
He was so confused.
You realize they do not understand a lot of stuff, so you kind of don't really care to elaborate a lot of things.
Yes.
But sometimes it just isn't probably worth explaining this, or like a lot of stuff to like people that won't really understand or won't get it.
Yeah,
And I feel like
exactly.
it's the same with him.
And that's really Himbro. So, Flo, let's get to the really important segment of each episode that I've decided to do because, well, I do think that some reflection is quite important to really get anywhere with this. I mean, if we're not going to learn from them, this isn't just supposed to be, not just fun. It's also supposed to be
Where was the
reflective.
fun in this episode for you?
Well, that's the next thing. But we're also supposed to like reflect on it. So let's talk red flags. Red flags with him, red flags with me. What could he have done better? What could I have done better?
So starting with him, I feel like he doesn't really understand how to, have sex with
Full stop.
women.
And that's all we have to say at that point.
I mean, it kind of feels weird the way he did everything basically to the point that he doesn't know you like probably need some time to get ready because it feels like it wasn't really considerate of him to really think other people would not need as much time as he does probably to get ready to get things starting.
I think there's like two big points where on the one hand there's a lack of empathy that I might be different than him, but then there's a lack of empathy that I might be different than other women. He seemed to me like the perfect example of, well, my ex-girlfriend liked when I did this with my tongue, why don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Like a lack of understanding that I'm a different human being.
I mean, when you're like used to doing something and it does like always work out for you, you won't really change the system.
Which, okay, mind you, and I really want to put that out there to really any woman listening. I mean, this also applies to men, but I think in this case a lot more to women. Please, for the love of God, tell men when they're not good in bed. Save the rest of us. Someone has to tell them. And I mean, no shade to anyone who hasn't done it in the past. I know it's really difficult to do. Save the rest of us?
I mean, as a man...
Or crush a man's ego. If you don't want to do it for other women, do it to crush a man's ego, please.
Go, girl boss.
Okay, as a man.
I mean, as a man, it can be in a way hurtful when you're getting told you're not like doing good. You could do better, but I think whenever it was like said to me, because I did actively ask about it, it did also like, help me to basically improve my own skills in that sense. And that also made like, better for me in general, because now I know what is good, what is not good, and being more, communicating about it.
Yeah, I think especially because at the end of the day, no one really wants to hear that your best might not be good or good enough. No one wants to hear that. Being criticized is just really difficult to take on, no questions asked. But I think if on the one hand we're not even open to like hear how we might do better, and on the other hand no one ever really tells the other person and they just keep on faking it, we're just gonna keep on living in this lackluster world where sex could be amazing, but it's not, because we're not actually talking to each other. That's not fun. I also just really want to say I am not blaming any of the women that he has slept with that he's bad in bed. Just to make this absolutely clear. That's not what I'm saying.
Nobody is like perfect and we can always improve on a lot of things. So take it as a hint, I guess, and work on it.
Take it as a hint, the hint that we directly said. So
red flags about you. In this certain scenario, it's quite difficult actually to kind of make out a lot of red flags. Can't really say a lot about your red flags basically, because I feel like you were like at least trying to communicate, that it's not like working out, and it didn't work out in the end. So it's kind of like more onto him that it didn't work out.
I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I do feel like also I tried having sex the way he liked it. You can't really say that for him. He didn't try to have sex the way I liked it. Also, well, I had this thought that there actually might be people out there who would view me as a red flag because of me wanting to sleep around and being horny and everything, which can be quite frowned upon as a woman in the patriarchal society that we live in. FYI, men and women are not equal.
You could say this like about everyone that is basically on any dating app, because...
Well, they're not doing a podcast on the 100 people they've kissed, but yes.
Yeah, they didn't, but maybe they kissed even 200 people, but they're just not talking about it online,
Good point.
So I feel like everyone that is on a dating app kind of signs up for it in a way that the other person is kind of a person that is going to sleep around, and you cannot really like judge people for using dating apps when you're also using it.
Also, I don't think that sleeping around is necessarily the issue, right? It's at the end of the day, it's a lack of communication, a lack of empathy. It's when you treat other people like shit. That is the issue. But the issue is not when you sleep with a lot of people.
Yeah, of course not. But like, I feel it can be a red flag if someone like kind of sleeps around. If you have like other like, you know, when you're like looking for a partner for your life, I guess, or you just want someone who isn't sleeping around, then you could be a red flag. But why would you like look for someone on a date?
It's not necessarily that they're a red flag. You're just saying, well, then they're not compatible with what like the person is looking for.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's really weird to say like, oh, I don't want my future partner to have only slept with this and this many people, but that's a whole different discussion that we're not opening.
Yeah.
But I am of the big opinion, and I mean, I think you are too, at the end of the day, it's not how many people you sleep with, it's how you do it. Do you agree with my statement or not?
I do agree with your statement.
Perfect.
That's everything.
That's everything
women want
I ever wanted to
That's
hear.
everything you want to have. Anyways.
Moving on to our last segment, which is also now being introduced for the very first time. Hear he, hear he. Hereby I introduce the segment called Kiss, Marry, Kill. A classic. So we're not actually playing the game Kiss, Marry, Kill, but the entire point of this segment is it's just supposed to be like a quick last judgment, a quick last, well, if it boils down to would you kiss them, would you marry them, or would you kill them? And I do want to make it so very clear. We are not killing anyone.
We definitely don't.
We are also not marrying or kissing anyone unconsensually. This is just supposed to be a fun, quick little ditty, a boiled down version of what did we think. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk on this. So, Kiss, Marry, Kill, what do you think?
Okay, I'll make it quick. I would definitely kill him in your situation.
Yeah.
Because you did kiss him, it wasn't great, and you had so many differences that you should definitely not marry. And if you're going to marry, I will go to kill you.
No, I definitely would not marry him. I wouldn't want him around for life. I think we're just not compatible enough for that. I also don't think that kissing him was that much fun that I would need to kiss him again. So I think at the end of the day, really, it's a kill for me.
It's a kill for you. It's a kill for me.
I don't need him again, even if I keep seeing him. I don't. No.
Maybe one time you will see him again and then he just looks so gorgeous and you're going up to him, talk to him again.
I would like to propose the idea that I might have developed into a different person and wouldn't do that again.
I would hope so.
We would all. Stay tuned to see if there's gonna be a episode part 2 on Himbro.
Oh yeah, that would be very funny.
Like, you know, in a couple of seasons and I'm like, Himbro is back.
You say in a couple of seasons and it's just like episode 3.
Next time Flo's on the show, we're talking about Himbro again.
Again.
I keep saying it's 100 people, but we're rewarming them.
We're just like talking about the same guy 100 times.
I think at the end of the day, the big takeaway is voice your thoughts, kick them out if they're not behaving correctly. And by God, if you're on a bad day, just know that's going to be so much fun in the group chat later. Ever since that happened, every single time I'm on a date and I say, oh my God, that date was so bad, everyone always says, as bad as Himbro. And that's just funny.
Nothing more to add to this.
He essentially took on the one extreme. The worst of them all, he took on that extreme, which is to say a lot because there have been others that were not that good. But the jokes stay, the men don't. Cherish your friends.
Someone has to keep the group chat alive.
Someone has to keep the group chat alive, and that is where I come in. So, that was my thoughts and my feelings on Himbro. We have the first episode down, and I actually think it was quite a fun start to the podcast. Thank you, Flo, for being on.
And thank you guys for listening and tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to me yap about men. Honestly, this is a passion project. I'm really excited for the rest. I'm extremely excited to talk to you guys about like other experiences that I've had. I can guarantee you there's a lot of layers to my dating life, and this was really just the first of them all. So if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure that you hit follow so you won't miss the next one. My socials are also linked in the description if you want to get more behind the scenes. And me back here in 2 weeks for the second episode where my roommate will be joining me to discuss the Netflix and not so chill situation. Until then, go kiss someone interesting and DM me the details. Bye, guys!
Bye bye.